My second last category for 2020 is, I would call them nice try, but a Puma double disc. I love the fact that they tried this. Every time I saw the Nike lace lock systems, whether it's the Fast Fit or the Adapt system, the problem I had with these interesting lockdown mechanisms is that they only lock down, let's say if they had four laces, they only lock down two on the upper part. So these parts are kind of like loosey-goosey and hanging out a little bit, maybe a little bit of a tuck along the way, but not much. So you can only squeeze in this part. So I always tossed this idea about that you should have two separate lockdown tabs. For instance, if it's fast fit, they should have two pull tabs to adjust the upper part and the lower part near the toe box. That would be a great custom one-to-one fit. But unfortunately, they did not do that. Puma beat them to it. It had two discs, one to lock down the couple of laces near the ankle area, nearer to the ankle area, and two closer to the toe box area. And it was a nice concept. The great thing about the disc is they open up instantaneously, like you're popping up a can of soda. Swoosh, it just loosens up nicely. But when it comes to locking mechanism, it's hard because it's a little disc that you twist with your fingertips. So unless you're trained in certain unusual, forgotten, mysterious martial art forms where you train your fingertips for the death grip, it's going to be a lot of work. So they need to come up with some type of way to, or some type of a tool to really use as leverage or fulcrum to really easily lock things up. But even if you have that, the locking mechanism doesn't really go all the way in terms of tightening it further. If you just lock it down with nothing in it, they go all the way. Let's say they lock down 7 clicks without your foot in it. With your foot in it, they lock down to maybe 2 or 3. They can't really go against the resistance of having an actual person's foot in there resisting that locking mechanism. So it's sort of like a similar problem that you have with the Fast Fit or the Adapts. But the thing is, the Adapts and the Fast Fit don't really give you blisters on your fingertips. So the next nice try but is, speaking of the lockdown mechanisms, VaporMax 2020 FF. I love the fact that they removed the locking mechanism to the tongue instead of putting it in the heel, in the midsole, because when you had that chunky thing in the midsole for the Adapt Automax, it was so huge in the midfoot that the cushioning of the midsole was just gone. You felt the clunkiness of the locking mechanism underneath your foot. So, and the midsole had to be super thick just to provide the housing for that. So instead of that, VaporMax 2020 had the Fast Fit system right on the tongue, so it was nice. But of course, they only locked 2 out of 4 lace loops, so it would be good if they had 2 additional Fast Fit pull tabs for 2 different areas. But in terms of the Fast Fit system, this is a marked improvement compared to previous models like the Jordan 33s or the Kobe FFs. They just didn't really work, and you have to really tug it hard to get like 1 click. But the VaporMax 2020 Fast Fit actually worked because as you're pulling, you could feel the lock mechanism clicking as you pull them. So it was great. So take a cue from Puma double disc and do that. Going back to the Puma double disc, the reason why it's a disappointment is the locking mechanism is a bit funky, but the cushioning, it's the best basketball shoe cushioning that Puma has ever released. They did not, I didn't find out what exactly the type of foam they used is, but the insole they used is also different from the previous ones, where it feels like a dense ortholine foam with a nice little velvety coating on the top layer. Even without that, the midsole is so soft, but not too soft. It's just nice. And with that insole, it's a dream ride. But the double disc is super heavy, as heavy, if not heavier than Adapt BB. That's how heavy it is, and it's crazy expensive. So that's why. Going back to the Adapt system, the Adapt BB is, again, only 2 of the 4 laces get tightened. Adapt BB, another issue is it doesn't really open up a whole lot. You need to kind of slide your foot in a little bit more. The cushioning was actually good for the Adapt BB 2.0s because the heel, I think they used Cushlon, but it was very soft. And the forefoot, whether it's Zoom Turbo you might call it, but it doesn't feel as excellent as the Kyrie's or the Kobe Pro Tours, but you actually feel it working, so it was good. And the chunky midfoot lockdown mechanism did not really get in the way like the Adapt, the Automax Adapts. So that was a decent try, but it was super heavy, and the locking mechanism doesn't really provide a secure lockdown, and it was crazy expensive. The outsole was good, traction was good. Overall, it was a good shoe, if only they made some changes. The Curry 8, they introduced this new cushioning system again when they could not make use or copy paste the cushioning that they've already invented, which actually work for running shoes or other models, but they somehow become thinner and harder when it comes to the Curry basketball shoes. So they could not let that happen. Curry 8 Flow Foam is like a cheaper version of React. Yeah, it's not soft. I don't know why some people are going crazy and saying this is the softest, plushest Currys you've experienced. Try the Curry 4s and the Curry 8s. It's not that different. So it's not exactly an upgrade in terms of cushioning. The fit is good. The upper material is a little bit more giving than the Curry 7 because the Curry 7 had some chafing points. The outsole is another issue. The midsole and the outsole is the same. It's an improvement compared to what they tried in the 90s, like the Reebok 3D Ultralight or the Iverson issue, which had minimal rubber and the midsole actually had some grooves. The grooves definitely did put some thought into it. The grooves are nice. The grooves and holes and the traction pattern is good, but again, this is foam and it's sensitive to dust and it's not as durable as rubber. So there's even a YouTuber who showed how much it wears out. The traction pattern, the treads were completely gone after playing outdoors for 2 weeks. I don't think he was hitting it hard on asphalt or blacktops all the time. So yeah, durability is seriously an issue, and the traction works on clean courts great, but we don't play on clean, pristine NBA courts. So I would say nice try, bud. And the design it felt like a complete rip-off of the Antar RR6, which came out months before it was released. So maybe they have a spy or someone who has 2 jobs in 2 companies, who knows. The Peak Flash 2 or the Peak Underground 2, it's the second signature, not exactly second, the second Tai Chi cushion signature shoe for Lou Williams. The design was great. It was carrying on the silhouette of the first one, but making some changes. They even used a different new material on the forefoot to provide some additional low-profile responsiveness, and it actually felt great. The Tai Chi foam, of course, it's always great. And the outsole pattern was changed, and it was unique. And it was better than the first one. And the first one was already pretty decent. This is not sensitive to dust, durable, great. Design is beautiful. And they even have the strap that you've seen in the Kyrie 2s and the CP3 11s, which is great. But here's the thing. When you put the strap on, there are certain bits, there are buckles on the lace loops that actually cut into your ankles, and it really gives you blisters. So you can't really use it to its full potential. I actually had to cut some parts out of the shoe because they kept digging into my ankles. And also, the fit is weird. It feels short and wide and hollow on the toe box, so it's weird. The sizing is going to be a problem. So, and these Chinese shoes, you can't just walk into a store and try it, or you can't order them and return them because, it's from China. The price point is decent, the cushioning is awesome, the traction is great, but the fit will kill you because I lost a toenail playing in this shoe because of the weird fit. And And another thing, quality. Seriously, they have a huge carbon, what seemed like a carbon plate on the outsole, on the midfoot area, stretching a little bit to the forefoot and the heel. When I have carbon in my shoe, I like to kind of test them out, and when I see edges on stairs, I like to like press on them to see, let's hear a cracking noise, it's carbon, and usually it doesn't break. My first time I tried to put my weight on it and pressed it against a corner of a staircase of a stair, I heard noises, crack. So I checked, there was no crack. It seemed like it separated itself from some glued parts with the outsole, but that's already a pretty concerning development, right? And after a couple of wears, I kind of casually tried it again, and this time it cracked in 2 or 3 pieces. I mean, it's got additional plastic coating around it, so it's there, but it's been broken. It's not going to hurt you in any way, but that support is gone. I mean, you don't need the support to begin with, but the fact that it cracks, it just cracks me up. So nice try, but one was better. They need to go back to the drawing board. Jordan Elevation React. This was a huge deal because Luka Doncic kept wearing them, and they even gave a little bit Luka logo in that to release it. And the shoe actually went straight to the outlets in Korea. And as soon as they saw Luka wearing it, it was sold out instantaneously. I'm going to say the same thing with the Converse G4. They have the same setup. Traction is good. Heel React, you can feel it. This is React used in heel cushioning right. But on the forefoot, they both feature zoom air. You can feel it. It's there. But only on the area where the zoom air is. So for G4, there's like basically no foam around it, just the zoom. So you're actually wearing skate shoes. Your toes are gonna get blisters all over the place. So you will need to find a special type of insole that actually works where your toes will be protected. For the React Elevation, you don't really feel the zoom air. At least in the G4, you can feel the zoom air, but you need some cushioning around your toes. But the Elevation, I can't really feel the zoom, even if it's there. If you take out the insole, you can feel the zoom. You can see the zoom there, but you can't feel it. So it's a huge disappointment. The React heel cushioning was so good. Why couldn't they do the same with a zoom setting on the forefoot? So ideally, what would be good if they put the React in any other shoes with decent forefoot cushioning? It will work. Kairos Mark II by Spencer Dinwiddie with his own brand. He used a very expensive material. I think it's called Pebax or Pebax. Something, I can't really pronounce it right. Not a chemist. So it's sort of similar to what you see in the Boost material, and it actually feels like a denser Boost, and it works. The cushioning is good, but what it did was maybe he went a little bit too mad scientist there. He tried to put a little bit of a stability support bits in the heel, and that actually hindered the cushioning a little bit. The outsole pattern is decent, but it's not very durable, but it's okay, it's decent. Design overall, it's a smooth silhouette, but the fit, it's very tight, but it's got a bit of a hollow area on the toe box area, and it only comes in sizes, no half sizes. For me, I had to go, I think I would have had to try 9.5, but 9 felt like an 8 to me. And because it's just not, again, it's kind of like the China situation. You can't just buy and send it back or get a different size. No half sizes, that's a huge deal breaker. The accessibility is one issue. The fitting is another issue. And he could have done much better with the midsole. I think it could have been a bit thicker in the heel and a little bit softer on the forefoot. He knew what he had, but he kind of spread it out evenly. So that's a bit of a disappointment there. In Korea, they had this shoe called the Helios, where unlike air cushioning, it actually, I know Korea is the only place where they had cushioning of air soles that actually have air circulation that breathes out. It's kind of like DMX, but actually lets air go out and lets air come in through the forefoot. There was a circulation thing. They made some upgrades, kind of like a Pro Tro of their own. The old version was too soft in the heel, so you felt your heel sinking a little bit too hard, and eventually the air circulation system would wear off because there's a lot less pumping action on the heel. So what they did was they used something a lot denser and firmer on the heel, so you actually could feel the cushion, the impact protection when you're hitting your heel hard on it, but it doesn't feel like there's adequate circulation. The old one, you could feel the air breathing like farting noises on the inside of the shoe and the outside, but here you could just see a little bit of a leaking sound in the heels, and pretty much that was it. So I wish they could have found a balance between the old and the new. The middle ground would have been perfect. So next time.